Hope you guys are having an absolutely amazing day today. Is it okay if I share something with you quickly? So I want to share Romans 8 verse 18, which says, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Okay, what I want you guys all to understand, and maybe you already do understand this, is that life can hold lots of suffering and hardships. Yet this verse here is saying that suffering does come in life, but the hardships we go through now are not even worth comparing to the glories revealed to those who are in Christ, who are saved by having faith in Christ. This doesn't mean that our sufferings are insignificant. For the man who wrote this, Paul, right? He went through a lot of suffering himself. Suffering happens to all kinds of people, not just those who are saved or are walking in faith. Israel, right, was very wicked at times. And we can see this in Romans and Isaiah. And Isaiah, the prophet, he had just prophesied about the Israelites being exiled to Babylon. And when the exile did happen, it definitely wasn't fun, to say the least. I mean, people were taken from their homes and enslaved in Babylon. Yet, after Isaiah prophesied about this, God spoke a very, very encouraging message to the people of Israel. He said, For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, Do not fear, for I will help you. Even through the Israelites' suffering and after all the sin that they committed, God was still willing to help them. And that just tells you a little bit more about God's character, how loving he is, how compassionate and merciful he is. All things that we should take into account and learn to live out towards others. Yes, we do go through sufferings, but if we're saved through Jesus and if we're in him, then although we go through sufferings, the promise of heaven and the glories revealed in us, no longer in a world of sin and suffering, but in heaven with God, with the presence of God and his majesty and his splendor being revealed in us. As we live in a perfect world for all of eternity, this is so much better in comparison to the trials we face. And ultimately, every trial and hardship we go through are worth the promises that God has for us. And although trials and hardships are definitely still difficult, God will be with us through them all, as you've even seen in the verse I've just shared with you. So, I'm going to share one of my favorite quotes with you that Nick Hall actually said. And he said, what we may not need is a change of circumstances, but rather a transformation of hearts. So, today I want to encourage you. When you're going through hardships, don't always just seek a change of circumstances in your life, but rather have a transformation of heart. Knowing that God's going to be with you through this, he's going to help you, he's going to refine you as gold is refined through fire, and you'll be out better than you were before with God's help, okay? And ultimately remember the promises that God has and take hold of these promises, from the promise of heaven to the promise of God being with us, to the promise of him working for our good in all things if we love him and are called according to his purpose, aka he has a purpose for us, which if you are in Christ, you've got a purpose. God has one for you. So while we go in this life and we go through sufferings, hardships, and trials, what we can do is hold to the promises that God has for those who are in Christ Jesus. And if we're in Christ Jesus, we can absolutely take hold of these promises. And we can have faith in that God will come through on these promises. And we can have hope knowing that God has good for us in store. Okay? And not only that, but we can go throughout this life with him, knowing he'll be with us. We can be obedient to his commands, showing love to all people, and continuing to walk in love in the commands he has for us, being obedient to them. Romans 12 just gives us commands on how to live, right? Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourself. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual fervor serving the Lord. That means be what's the word? It's on the tip of my tongue. Be eager to serve the Lord in all that you do, right? Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Don't be proud, but be willing to associate with people of low position, okay? If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. And if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil by good. So, today, if you want to grow in your relationship with God, if you want to be saved through Jesus and put your faith in him today, the description below and the linked and pinned videos will teach you how to do so and how to grow a relationship with the God who loves you so much. And before I go, I want to say keep sending out prayers for all the Lord's people and those who are just going through difficult times. Those in LA with the wildfires going on, those in other countries going with all these natural disasters, all this crazy stuff, wars, and all of these things. Pray for these people, guys. And have faith when you pray, okay? And know that God does have a plan, and his purpose ultimately prevails. So trust in the Lord, and keep praying for these people with confidence and believe, okay? Have faith. And don't be discouraged. Instead, be encouraged, because guess what? In Jesus, nothing will ever separate the love of God from you, okay? So take heart and have a great rest of your day, my friends.